Putting a dip in your hip, a glide in your stride. Welcome to the mothership, the home of the travelers of the universe, with shows throughout the week. Everything you want, everything you could need. From the paranormal to the supernatural, from the spiritual to the unknown, from emotions to comedy. You can find us at Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and so much more. This is R.I.F.T Nation Network, the RNN. And now, your featured show. Shall we begin?
Sensitive/offensive content disclaimer. Please note that this podcast may contain material that some listeners may find sensitive, offensive, or disturbing. We strive to create respectful and informative content, but topics discussed may include mature themes such as violence, explicit language, or controversial subjects, triggering content including discussions related to mental health, trauma, or other sensitive issues, explicit language. Occasionally, our guests or hosts may use strong language. While we aim to handle these topics with care and empathy, we encourage listeners to exercise discretion. If you find any content distressing, consider skipping or seeking support. Remember that this podcast is not a substitute for professional advice. If you need assistance, please consult a qualified expert.
Good evening. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Welcome to the R.I.F.T Nation Network. My name is Joni Skinner, and you are listening to and watching Mysteries Beyond the Scenes, where we combine forensic astrology with true crime, mapping for the missing. We look at cold case homicides, try to solve all kinds of mysteries. I hope everybody is well tonight. Let's get into the chat. Happy Wednesday. We're halfway there. Happy hump day. Don't forget to please like. We are streaming live on Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. Please like and subscribe. Hello, Jennifer. Hello, Miss Michelle. This is little Miss Michelle's case tonight. This is one she referred to me. And Michelle, I have gotten so deep into the rabbit hole with Jared's case. I'll tell you, it's wait till you guys hear Jared's Mccolloch's case tonight. Lee, I'm going into the bathroom downstairs. Oh, water. Oh, must be storm. Welcome to storms. Be careful, Lee. It's been a horrific tornado season this year. I know it has been here. The cat and I've gone into the shower a couple of times with the sirens. Hello, Miss Kathy. Hello, Miss Linda, Lois. Be safe, Lee. How are you, Rue? Welcome on in, you guys. Welcome to True Crime Wednesday. Hi, Sir Keith. Thank you for getting us all shared out. I hope everybody's having a great week. I know we're having storms, but our tornado season's kind of over. I hope. Knock on wood. But we've had a rough one. We've had a rough storm season. I haven't seen one like this here in a long, long time. I know Keith's had a rough season, a rough tornado season in Nebraska as well. And now there's such horrific flooding up in Minnesota and South Dakota. It's horrible. We've had weird weather, very weird weather. So let's just hope the rest of the summer is kind of nice and calm. We need calm. We need very calm June and July. Everybody stay safe in the storms. If you're there and you hear your sirens, get in the shower or go down the basement. Get in. We have sirens. I mean, our sirens blast so loud. Like if you guys heard our tornado sirens going off right now, you wouldn't be able to hear me talk. That's how loud they get. And everybody here, our phones have it. Our phones go off. Oh, so if you're out in the store or anywhere, everybody's phones will go off at one time. It's horrible. Just horrible. Well, welcome tonight. Be safe, Lee. Oh, I'll tell you, I'm exhausted from tornado season this year. Michelle sent me this case, and it's Jared Mccolloch, and he disappeared in November, and we'll get to Jared's case. It is it's really an odd case. I don't know what to think of it. I can't wait for Rue to look at the chart as well. And I hope Gina comes in so Gina can look at the crime chart as well. Lois too, and the girls that have looked at crime charts. It's an interesting crime chart. But again, what was so odd with Jared's case is that he was in Illinois, went over to Indiana, which is a time change. You know, he's going to lose an hour, gain an hour going into Indiana. Not only did that occur, but on that evening, it was fall back. You know how like at 2 a.m., all the clocks go back. So not only did we have a time change from Central to Eastern and Eastern to Central, we also had the fall back. So it's either 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. Everything fell back. And another thing is, it was the quote unquote, we're going to look at the Wabash River. Well, it was actually a creek. It's 2 feet high, inches in some places. So the more you dig in, it gets very interesting. His 2 dogs were found in his truck. The truck was running. It eventually ran out of gas. We'll get to all of the details, but it's an interesting case. And thanks, Michelle, for referring it, because it's very interesting. And there's a lot of really interesting podcasts out there. One of my favorite podcasts is The Vanished. I love that podcast. I can't believe that, Rue. You guys have nasty weather down there. You don't have sirens in Tennessee. Nashville goes right up there. Nashville's almost like in the what's it called now? I forget what I mean, it goes up through Nashville. It has very nasty storms. Our sirens are so loud, they will wake you up out of a dead sleep, even if you have the windows closed. Which, thank goodness for that. I'm thankful for those. But I don't know if you all have heard, we have covered Caleb Harris's case. We did the map, Tornado Alley. Thank you, Michelle. But they call it from Nashville on up through Kentucky and into Ohio, up into the Ohio River Valley. It's called another different alley. I forget what it's called. It's an alley, but it's not the Tornado Alley. It's a tornado alley, but I don't know what they call it. Dixie Alley, maybe? I don't know. But this week, remains were found very, very close to where Caleb's apartment was, where he went missing, in a pumping station. They have not identified Caleb, but I think we just don't know. We don't know if it's Caleb's remains, but I think people are leaning toward that. However, the experts have said that now a pumping station is where all of the waste from all of our drainage and sewage goes. You know, it goes from your house to the pipe, and then the pipes take it to a pumping station. So, and then it sends it on to the waste places. The experts are saying that there's no way that a 15-inch pipe would have remains could not go through a 15-inch pipe. I don't know. Some experts are saying that, but I'm not quite sure of the lay of the land where Caleb disappeared. But Rue and I both looked at the mapping that we had done for Caleb's case, and wait until you guys see this. And, you know, again, he has not been identified, but we'll just kind of, let's just look at his map, and I'll show you all what this looks like. Okay, if you see to the left, that's the blue line. The dot, the picture on the right is where Caleb's apartment is, the red dot. The blue line is where the station is, where the remains were found. To the right is the mapping that we did on his case with the chart and the mapping. And again, with forensic astrology, we need the timestamp. We then do an event chart, which looks just like what I did for Jared. It looks like a natal chart. We do there's some math involved according to where the planets were at the time the event occurred. There's a formula that Kirsty McIntosh, the great Kirsty McIntosh, has taught us. And we get on Scribble Maps and we map it out for search and rescue groups, for families, where they can search for loved ones. We don't know where they can look. We can kind of, within what I call pizza wedges, because it looks like a pizza. It's a circle, 360-degree circle. And I call them wedges. Within the wedges. Now, if you look at this mapping, this is the map that was from Caleb's apartment, and the one line, which was the midheaven line, which is one at the very top. That's the line that goes right to the pumping station. So if it is Caleb, which looking at this map, and I put the blue arrows up there, the astrology had him completely there. And the answer to that is no. 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 And a guy that allegedly searched with them. Hi, Miss Donna. How are you, dear? A person that allegedly searched and that worked with the family and knew some things about the searching, stated that all of those sewer lines and stations were searched. Now, I don't know if that's true, but he has come forward and said, we searched there. We searched in those areas. Now, a phone was found to the north about 2 weeks ago that was an iPhone, and Caleb had an iPhone. And they were testing it to see if it was his phone. So the phone was found out by the ocean, which would have been north. And there was another line that went that way. And I was kind of waiting to see what they said about the phone. In the general area, we had a line that went out that way. But this goes right to that pumping station. And what was interesting about the chart, I pulled up the chart and look at this again. I looked up pump stations because I always go back after we think we found somebody, but we got to really wait until they confirm that it's him. But I'm guessing it's him. Pisces is a pump station. And that's what exactly in our book, it's called the rulership book that we use to look up places. Pisces is, and they called it a pump station. I looked up pump station. Caleb is Saturn. Saturn is remains. third house within the neighborhood, Pisces. What house? What was the rule? Pisces is ruling the third house. So within the neighborhood, short distance, Pisces is a pump station, Saturn is remains. So we're going to wait and see. If we go according to the astrology, unfortunately it's him. For some reason, horrific accident. We look to Uranus. And, it wasn't raining that night. There was no flooding. He was up at that little bridge when he took that Instagram picture. I don't know. We're going to have to wait and see on this, but I do know in rulership, pump stations, Saturn within the neighborhood. And like I said, the map goes right to that area. So I don't know. What's funny is the mileage is off. That's what I'm wondering. Now, another YouTuber, true crimer, had stated that he had been on Instagram and somebody may have picked him up. But we don't know that. We don't know all the facts to the case. I'm sure if it's him, we're going to find out. I think he was like in 16 feet of water, and he would have been in there for 3 months. So, and how would somebody let's look at it. If something bad happened and it was foul play, how would somebody get him into that station is another thing. There's got to be cameras. They're locked up. There's safety measures all over a pumping station. They're locked. How would somebody get in there to even put somebody in there? So I think it's going to be interesting to see what comes out of this the findings down at Corpus Christi. And they just found the remains. So we'll have to wait and weigh this one out. I think it's interesting with the chart, though. And we had a great timestamp for this particular event chart because it was on the Instagram and he was, like young people are, they've always got their phones on. So, I feel bad for his family and just a horrific, if it was an accident. I don't know. We have to wait and see what they say. It's very interesting. Lois is right. It is interesting. All right, let's get on to this. Now, you guys, this is a mystery. You talk about a mystery case. Boy, I don't even know what to think about this particular case. Now, Jared, on November the 4th, I put 2024. I'm sorry. Oops. It's not, we're not even there yet. Of course, it's 23. Jared left Louisiana to travel to Salem, Illinois, to meet up with his ex-girlfriend, ex-wife, and they together were going to go visit his son and her son, and he was in a detention home, like a juvie center. So he left Louisiana, took his 2 dogs with him and his truck, and headed towards Salem, Illinois, November the 4th. He left Salem, Illinois to meet. Okay, he left to meet up with his ex, and he made it up to Salem, Illinois. Was on the phone texting her back and forth the whole way up. But he made it to the destination, but we're not sure if he actually made it to the ex's house. There's not a lot of information out there whether or not. She claims he did not meet up to go on the visit. So at 1:30 a.m. on November the 5th, he was seen on camera at a gas station close to Salem, Illinois. Okay. It's a day, but remember, he's going from Louisiana on up to Illinois, through Arkansas, everything. For some odd reason, Jared mysteriously headed east toward Indiana. How do we know that? From the phone records. Okay. This is his missing poster. There's his truck. That's one of his dogs. And we'll get to the dogs as well. There's his truck. Now, another thing is there are so many, there's not a lot of facts that meet that, some say the truck was found with the driver's door open. There's some reports that state that the passenger side door was open. There are so many lack of facts to this case, it's hard to keep up with it. So, Jared was seen on several gas station stops where, remember now, he was seen at 1:30 a.m. in Illinois, leaving the Salem, Illinois area. He was then recorded in southern Illinois at 8:30 in the morning, Carmi, Illinois. That's the last time he was seen on camera. At 6:30 p.m., his mother got an email stating, I guess it's from the GPS or the computer in the truck, that the battery was dangerously low on the truck. And at 6:30 p.m., the battery went dead and his truck synced in, or his phone synced in with the truck. Okay. So here is the map of his route. So you can see the first stop was up around the Salem, 1:30 a.m. He goes south. And then we see the third stop, and that was at 8:30 in the morning. He was seen on camera. Then the pings take him north. He's north in Illinois. Pings are going over into Indiana. And then there is the red dot with the alleged final location. Okay. When the truck, and this is another mystery, the police told his mother and some searchers that the mayor from a little town found the truck. Then it was an oil worker found the truck. Then it was a local. Then they walked back. No, it wasn't the mayor. So even who found the truck is a mystery. His two dogs were inside of the truck. Their leashes were not on them. They were just sitting in the truck. Okay. Jared was nowhere to be found, has never been seen or heard from again. His shoes were found a little distance away from the truck, 10 feet apart. Again, we don't know if the one door was open. We don't know which door was open. We don't know if both were open, but we do know at 6:30 p.m., the battery went dead on the truck. Okay. That's okay. So here we go. This is the route. Now, I'm going to show you something else. There's another alleged sighting of Jared, which is the last alleged sighting. And it's up, this is called the Cannonball Restaurant and Bar. Now, I'm going to show you where that is. That's up at, see where that one word says unconfirmed fourth location? That's where the Cannonball Bar is. And that was around noon. Remember, the battery died on the truck around 6:30 p.m. Now, what's funny about the Cannonball, now we've got the mystery deepens. There were people that came forward to the family and said anonymously that we saw him because the dogs, we noticed the truck, we noticed dogs in the truck, And they also stated that there were things in the back of the truck that had not been released to the public. So his cousin, Jared's cousin, felt like that was pretty concrete evidence because that had not been released to the public, what was in the back of the truck. But then when the family tried to get information from the Cannonball, they said, nope, he was never here. Nope, you cannot look at the cameras. No, you cannot put up flyers. He was never here. I mean, they were just completely stonewalled by this little barn grill. Nothing. And here's the picture of the Cannonball. I'll show you the picture of the Cannonball. There's the Cannonball Restaurant Bar. And they had more than one witness come forward and say, look, he was here. Why was he here? Nobody knew why he was even there. He was supposed to be over in Salem, Illinois with the ex who Jared's mother said they had a tumultuous relationship from when they were younger. They were always fighting. She apparently was in and out of trouble with the law. But Jared wanted his son to come back to Louisiana with him. Now, what had happened is Jared had had a past. And you all know as well as I do, we've done enough true crime that when somebody has anything in their past, Lord help them, because it's like that just shoots down any amount of help that you can get. And it's terrible that that happens. Jared had run into some issues with some drug issues. He had gone to prison for 5 years. He was within weeks of being on probation for 5 years and getting off of probation. So he had done 5 years in the penitentiary, had lived 5 years working, turned his life around. He had found the church. He wanted his son to come and live with him. And so, we know how that goes when that shows up on any background or anything. It's like that case gets put to the bottom, and it's a shame and it's terrible. And I see it a lot. But so what had happened is, in this case, he had another court case that had cropped up, and where an alleged ex-girlfriend, it was alleged DV charges. He was to go to court, but he was fine. He felt he would get out of those charges. They would be dropped. Well, of course, he went missing. So, of course, he missed his court date. So they issued a bench warrant. The sheriff in this little town said, if you see him, he could be dangerous. So does that have something to do with the Cannonball saying, nope, we didn't have anything to do with him? So, that's how things get started. And this is a small farm town. It's a rural area. So who knows? But they didn't get any. I think he was there because I think, for starters, who would know what was in the back of his truck? So I used, because of the fact, like I said, we had Illinois time. Then if we moved over into Indiana, we lose an hour. We gain an hour. My bad. And then on that evening, it was fall back. So again, we lost another hour. So any text messages, any times on the phone records, nothing would have been accurate or an accurate time. So my thought process was, I'm going to use the alleged time that people thought they saw him between 11 and 12 for the chart, because that may be the time that he was there for lunch. And I don't, because of the fact none of the timestamps were correct. This is one of those cases that you have to really, it's like, oh, I'm going to sit down. Can you do a chart for me? And it's like, well, okay. But when you get into a case like this, it's hours of studying and going over. I'm going to do the 8:30 time when he was absolutely seen on that camera at 8:30. Then we're going to go up to the second stop and do another chart. And then we're going to do another chart. And then we're going to do a 6:30 chart for when the battery died. So this is a kind of case that you really have to dive into a thick rabbit hole and put all the pieces of the puzzle together. It takes a long time. It really does. But the starting point was, for me, was the noon time at the bar. Okay. So, and this chart, it's a malefic chart. It's not a really good friendly chart at all, as you can see with all the red lines. So what I did is, because of the fact I'm not too sure about the time, nothing that I can really see in this chart I can be positive about. Looking at like other charts, I can say, yeah, I'm pretty positive. I'm pretty well leaving it up and looking up things because of the fact that it's kind of a guess. But again, we look at, do we even know, could this have even been a suicide, unalive, or harm themselves? Jared had lost his brother tragically. I guess it was about 3 years prior. And they were very, very close. So Jared had checked himself in to get mental help for that, which God love his heart. That's wonderful. And even his cousin said he was not afraid, that he knew if he needed help because he felt things were too rough and mentally he was having a hard time losing his brother. He knew to get help. So she's like, he would not unalive. He also had a new baby on the way, that he had just had a new baby. He had the DV charges he was facing. So I think when you look at a case like this, you have to almost look at all angles. Could this have been foul play? Absolutely. Could this have been unaliving, a harm? Well, sure. Anybody can always, we don't know what someone's mental state is. So let's take a look at this chart and see if we can get anything from it. Then I'm going to show you guys the mapping. The mapping was very interesting around. Now remember, we are going along what's called the Wabash River. The Wabash River at places is 2 feet and 18 inches. It only gets really, really deep in certain areas. And none of those areas were where they alleged the car was found. Here's another thing, another mystery that's not making any sense. His mother gave a latitude and longitude, and then later on she found out that latitude and longitude is where the police had put the yellow tape out to search. So it was in that general area, but it wasn't in that area that she had the latitude and longitude. The tow truck driver, the police said it was on 6th Street and another street up in a little city north. The tow truck driver said, no, it was 2 miles south of that. And then again, it was 20 miles from that. You cannot get an exact location where anyone found the car, the truck. It's a guess. So again, it's, was he in the Cannonball? Yes or no? Where was the car? Why did he leave the ex-girlfriend's place when he was supposed to go visit his son? Why did he travel way away from the area and drive away? Did they have a fight? Did he have to cool off? What happened? Where was he going? And was she questioned? What is she saying? Apparently he was talking to the ex the whole time he was driving. What was going on? Did he have a place to go? We don't know. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. So it's a big mystery. Let's just take a look at the map. And in forensic astrology, again, you look up certain things. The first thing that I saw on this particular event chart, and remember, this is the lunch, is Venus. Venus popped out right away at me. And that, of course, would mean there's a female that either is a witness, knows something, that's got information. They've got to question any female that was possibly at the cannonball. Could it be the ex? Who did he talk to, and why was he over at the cannonball if he was? Or did he meet foul play in Illinois and people just took his truck over to Indiana to dump him? No one knows. The dogs, their leashes were damp, but the dogs were fine. They were waiting in the truck. That's another mystery. He didn't go anywhere without those dogs. So Venus popped up. Let's say there is a perp. And I will tell you this too. Look in the 12th house where I put that arrow. In our rulership book, and I've got to say this, and I hate to say this, but I looked it up. If Pluto is in the 12th house, it can mean someone has self-harmed themselves. It is just one of those placements that if Pluto is in the 12th house, it can mean someone has done damage to themselves. That Pluto is right up there hitting Venus. Someone knows something. The 12th house is what is hidden. Another thing, somebody he knows, and it has to do with the 12th house ruler, is keeping secrets. Very important secrets. And I looked that up. Also, we've got Jupiter in the 4th house, visit with an X. And that would be if the ruler of the 4th house is up in the 8th house, because we looked these things up. If the ruler of the 4th house, which is Venus, is in the 8th house, it means they are meeting up with an X, which we know he was. We've got Uranus in there, unexpected. At the home, he was going to her home to meet up, to go then visit his son. Jared's also the moon. Remember, he's also the moon. That's the cool co-ruler. What else? Definitely, if we look up at the 10th house, a lot out in the open. Out in the open. If there was foul play, it was done in a public area and he's out in the open. Okay? It's that's what this one tells us. Now, we have to look at the 6th. I got to do one for 6:30 p.m. when the truck battery stopped. I'm going to do, but we don't even know where the truck was at. So it's like you just, this is like, when you get that picture, that AI picture of me going, where you just got to keep digging and looking for time slots. You do, you just dig. Now I mapped it. I mapped this from, I'll make it bigger, from the cannonball. Remember, I used the cannonball 12 o'clock time. It goes up to Vincennes. And that was an area where the police had said the truck may have been. You get different stories. So this map is pretty accurate, and I blew it up a little bit so you all can see some of the pictures close to where, okay, that area right there is the latitude and longitude that his mother stated is where the truck was found. If that's the area that one searcher stated it's 2 feet of water, but there could have been an accident. Accidents happen. You don't know. There's 2 search teams that are on this case. It's Brothers Underwater Recovery. They've got some YouTubes, and Band Together Canine Search and Rescue. Band Together Canine Search and Rescue. Go check out their YouTubes because they've got areas. They searched all 3 of the areas that the truck allegedly could be because they don't know where the truck, even the searchers don't know where the truck was found. But if you notice the lines, and even one of the guys, okay, now this is another interesting part. There's an old bridge called the Cannonball Bridge. And the little Cannonball Bridge is the blue dot right there. And then I put a picture of it. Look at the lines right there that show there's a wedge right at the Cannonball Bridge. Is that where his phone was dumped in? We don't know. There is something there that something was either tossed or something from that. Look at that wedge right where the bridge is. It's right there. There's a line right there. And no camera footage of a truck was taken from the Cannonball Bridge. It's a mystery and a half, I'll tell you. Now, as you can see, there's a lot of lines over in the Illinois side. And one of the searchers stated he felt that if something bad happened, he very well could have been taken to something happened in Illinois and they ditched the truck. Was this a red herring? Was the truck ditched just to make it look like foul play had occurred? You just don't know. It's a good map. I mean, that's a good search and rescue map around the water areas. Oh, crap. I keep going the wrong way. Sorry. I told you I'm into this like crazy now. Look at that area right there. I don't know if you can see the little hand that I've got. Over to the left, over into the Illinois side, right into the water. There's lines that go right there too. I would check right there in that water area. I would go upstream a little bit as well. So there are some pretty good spots in that area to check, but where was he? And why did Jared drive? That's where the truck was, allegedly. Here we go. There's another map. Why did he do this? Look at that. He was at that spot, and at 1:30 at night, he left Salem, drove toward Indiana, drove east. Why? Why did he do that? 8:30 in the morning, he's down at that bottom at that third stop, and he bought gas and some food. But then he goes north. Phone pinged up at the 4th location, which is the Cannonball. Why did he go up north? Was he going to head back to, no one knows. Was he going to head back toward Salem? So it's quite the mystery, you guys. Let's look at the chat and see what you guys think. I know it's quite the mystery. And Michelle, if I'm missing anything, holler. Go ahead and let me know. Oh, here's Keith. We have loud sirens. I sleep through them. What? How? How do you sleep through those sirens? Jeez. Okay. Oh, and Donna is talking back to Caleb. Worked for engineers of this kind, locked cameras and more. 3 months with no one manning the station is very weird. Agreed. Yeah. Linda, he would not have left his dogs willingly. Absolutely not. He would not have. Gina says, my dogs would follow me anywhere. Close them up in the truck, unless me or someone else close them. Okay, Gina, this is what was interesting is either The passenger side or the driver's side or both doors were left open when law enforcement found them. The truck had run out of gas, and then the battery had died on the vehicle. And the dogs were in there. Hip the shoes. No, because it was such a back area. Even the searchers and the searchers on the YouTube and the podcasts are wonderful. They give out a lot of great information. This is such a back road area that they said it would have been impossible for someone from Louisiana to know where these roads were to get to, because you can't even get to them on the GPS. That somebody local had to have known those routes, or somebody around that area had to have known the route, unless he got lost. Linda, could he have secretly been seeing someone or meeting someone? Have they checked to see if he had been on dating apps? I don't know. I don't think so. Because he was from Louisiana, Linda. Was he looking for drugs? But I don't think he fell off the wagon either. He was getting ready to get off parole. Michelle, I feel like mom is at a disadvantage as far as pushing the cops to do more because she lives in Louisiana. That's true. Mom, yes. And mom also stated that she and her husband travel a lot with his job. And actually, Jared was living in their home in Louisiana, and really the upkeep of the home, because they were always traveling. Yeah, you do. You do bring the rabbit hole cases. It's a very interesting case. It's very interesting. And Linda, I've combined trips like that when I share custody things during pickups and drop-offs and visit type things when I shared custody. Yeah. Well, the thing is, they had plans to go see the son, and he abruptly left at 1:30 in the morning, was at a gas station. Did he have a fight with the ex? And another thing, and this is another interesting point, his mother received a text, and she said she was in Lowe's. It was early on Sunday morning, and he texted her and said, "Where is that?" But she said Jared was not techie, and she thought it was just a text that he sent by mistake, because he would always text the wrong person. So she was at Lowe's when she got that. And she said the phone bill gave her a time of that phone call. Her phone says another time. And that what really has screwed up this case is the time change. It's really screwed up everything. So that's great. Okay, dampness could be due from being in the truck overnight. Absolutely. From the leashes, yes. Did the ex have a boyfriend at the time? I don't know. There's very little, if not any, information about the ex, except that she has been in and out of being incarcerated. And I don't know what for. Maybe someone took his stuff. The only thing that was missing is his phone. Everything else was intact in the truck. And no bank information has been used. The ex lived in Sandoval, Illinois. Don't think he left there. I think you found more than I did. Lois, they could have dropped the phone and body in the river. Would have never been at the cannonball. You know, those lines at that cannonball, there's lines up there right by that bridge, by that Cannonball Bridge. There's two wedges. Oh, here's Tammy. That's a crazy case. I would be frustrated. You know who I feel really bad for is his mother. His mother has lost a child, and now this one is missing, and it's heartbreaking. She's just wonderful on podcasts and on. Um, she's just a wonderful person, and I'm glad that she's got these two search and rescue groups that are willing to really go out of their way and help the mom, because it's wonderful. And his cousin lives in Indiana, who is like a sister to him. So she's there to help do boots on the ground as well. I think it's odd that the Cannonball won't allow any posters and won't allow them to view the cameras. Why is the Cannonball being so quiet? That's my question. And you guys know as well as I do that in these small towns, everybody knows everything that goes on. Everybody knows everything. Everybody knows something. Very sad. It is very, very sad. Very sad. You got to hide the body and phone. I'm surprised they left the truck on land. And one of the searchers stated that where that one area where they searched, it would have been very, very easy to drop that truck off in Indiana and cross that. And he called it a creek. He said across that creek where it was 2 feet deep and go right across and go back into Illinois and drive away. And he also said that they looked for tracks. They were searching within 10 days of his disappearance. There were no tracks anywhere leading down to the water from any of the places that they searched, and 3 different places where the truck allegedly was, because they didn't get straight answers where the truck was. So, yeah, it's really weird. It's a very weird case. And then you have this situation, and I know Kathy's frustration gets like this too, when you have different law enforcement agencies. Nobody seems to want to take the ball and run with it. So you've got Illinois, you've got Indiana, and then you've got these different little towns, the St. Francisville. And, and even he acted a little shady, the chief. It's bizarre. The whole thing is bizarre. Ground a truck. It depends on where the air intake is located. But the truck was never in the water, Keith. The truck was out on the land. But he said you could have easily walked across the creek to get to the other side of Illinois. That you wouldn't have to drive. You could easily just walk across. Like somebody could say, well, I'm going to drop this, And another thing is, it was in such a remote area. How did Jared know to get there with his truck? Let's say he did go down there in his truck. How did he know to get there? I mean, somebody knows, and as always, you know what I'm saying? Somebody knows something on this case. Somebody saw him. I mean, he was traveling with 2 big dogs. It was a nice big truck in that area. Somebody knows something. Somebody saw him. Someone knows something that needs to step forward, even if they're an anonymous witness. And that could help, Right. And Michelle says the truck wasn't even pulled off the side of the road. There was no room to. It wasn't even like a road where people would drive. It was so off the beaten path. Maybe. But we're not really sure where it was, because there's 3 different locations that the sheriff has given, the tow truck driver, and then someone else. Everybody gets a different spot where the truck was located. So on this map where it says truck's final location is a guess. That's a guess, down from the Cannonball. So it could be 20 miles north or 20 miles south. The last known place was at 8:30 a.m. at Cardi, which is the third stop, 8:30 a.m. at the gas station. That would be a chart. 6:30 when the battery died would be a chart. And I'll bet you all maps lead back to Illinois. That's one thing I think I do know, that a couple lines are going to head back to Illinois. Just a guess. Because that Venus up there is telling us somebody knows something. And look at that line right there headed west. There's one line right there. There's a couple lines that are headed over to Illinois. Look at that. Straight back over to where he came from. Check that out. If you look at that map, at that mapping, if you look right there, there's one line that's going exactly due west. Well, a little northwest. And that's where he was coming from. So I think that's where I would start, and I would backtrack all the way back from that area where he was seen at 1:30 in the morning and track it that way. I guess. I'm like Tammy. Tammy's the PI in the group, and it is frustrating because there's so many phone pings, but yet you don't have the information. And were those phone pings, what did those records say? Was he texting? I think there's a lot of information that's not being told to the public too. You just don't know. So that is our case this week, you guys. Just some food for thought. And, check out The Vanished. It's an excellent, I love The Vanished podcast. And you can also check out Brothers Underwater Recovery and Band Together Canine Search and Rescue. They've got some specials on this case too. If anybody checks it out this week while you're listening to any true crimes, let me know if you get any other timestamps, because I'll for sure. This is one I'm going to put behind with Sebastian Rogers and Harmony Montgomery. Those are like big cases that we have to jump in the rabbit hole to really. It's a big puzzle. These are big puzzles. These are like we did, like Caleb's case, little ones, and then you got big ones. It's a crazy case. Just to let you guys know, Donna and I, with the last class, we've got an August 24th class, another first class, 9 to 2 live, 3 to 5 Zoom, Silver Wolf Treasures and Gifts. Let me know. And then Donna in the beginning of August is going to put the link up to register. But then we've got August 25th for the May and June classes. We're moving on, girls. Transits, Chiron, and Black Moon Lilith. That will be the 25th series. So that'll be series 2, I guess, Donna. I don't know. We got series 1, 2, 3. I get too confused. Surprised that the dogs didn't try and find him once out, but they were leashed and given. Yeah, his mother has the dogs. Yeah. You know what's funny? I thought of that too, Donna, now that you mentioned that. Do you remember the case, you guys, that we looked at? And the little girl was unalived, and the dog was the hero because the dog came out and alerted the couple that were on the trail. Remember that case? We just did it a couple weeks ago. We just did it. So I'm surprised too, Donna, that the dogs didn't get out and run and alert people. But if they're in the middle of BFE, so I don't know. That's crazy. Crazy. Yeah, the dogs are fine. The dogs are well taken care of. Very well taken care of. So thank you, guys. Everybody, have a great week. And Donna, I just go with the flow when it comes to these classes. Donna is having a huge expo in July. So I said, Donna, we'll just leave everything go till August because God love you. She's going to be so big. She's got a huge expo, big, huge show. Readers and vendors and just in this area. It's going to be wonderful. So she's got that on her hands, and that's a lot of work. So everybody have a great week. If you have any cases, keep an eye out. We'll keep an eye on Caleb's case. What else has been going on? We still have Universal Energy Expo. Thank you, ma'am. Universal Energy Expo. If you're in the Cincinnati area, it's at Turfway Park. Just going to have a great expo. So everybody have a super week. Oh, you're more than welcome, Michelle. You know, it's one of those that you keep going back to because you have to look for more information. You have certain cases that you do. Rudy, I know Rue does this too. Gina probably does too, where you just keep getting drawn back to the case because you know there's more clues to uncover. There's just that drive that you get that you can't put it away. So you just have a pile of them when it's like, when I get time at the beach, I'm going to pull this one out, pull that one out. And you just sit with them and do what you can just to try to help somebody find their loved one. So everybody have a great week. I'll see you guys next week. Thank you so much for tuning in and your input. Have a super weekend. At least we have 4th of July next week. So we got another holiday week coming up, which will be great. So everybody have a great week this week and enjoy it. Stay safe if you're in a storm zone. Thanks a million for tuning in. And I will see you guys next week. Have a good night. Thank you. Good night.